in Korea, the grind literally never stops. Working multiple jobs, flipping assets, hitting the gym for a body profile, or buying the latest luxury car. Today on KPC, we're going to dive into Korea's extreme grind culture, or AKA hustle culture. And question, why is this culture so prevalent? And I think I've gathered the perfect guests for this topic today. I think we need a round of introductions over here. So who wants to go first?
Hi, I'm Jina. I'm a content creator and I've been making videos about Korean culture more than like 13, 14 years. And also I'm doing a business about making short form videos for brands and companies. Also, I'm trying to do some lecture and the classes about like social media. And what else?
It never stops.
Yeah.
Are we going
I'm hitting the gym like 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The fact that she's been doing content for 13 years is just remarkable. Respect.
For real.
Yeah.
No, that's
Thank you.
respect for sure.
Yeah. And then Daniel?
Hi, my name is Daniel M.O. and my main thing is I am a live streamer on TikTok. I started out by teaching fitness content to my viewers because I've been doing 홈트 for the past 5 years. The live streaming went well enough that I also started offering separate PT courses. And then recently we are getting ready to launch our own startup in the
Wow.
K-beauty industry. On top of that, I was also doing my own podcast. And then
And
I
then
know.
Yeah.
I guess this is part of the hustle, but I'm, also in the process of trying to find a meaningful relationship as well. So I think just balancing all of those things out, it's definitely a lot.
FYI, go check out Daniel's Instagram. He's like ripped.
Thank you.
Shredded. So go check it out. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And Serena?
Hi, my name is Serena, and I currently work as a business development manager for the fashion tech company. It's been, I think, over 10 years since I've been doing this job, and I started off as a fashion model. On top of my job, I do work as a modeling, and on top of that, I also do love working out, gym and Pilates, free diving.
Frida.
Yeah,
Oh
one of my really nice hobbies. On top of that, I do content creating. I guess that's it for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
I think today's keyword is on top of that. And then
Yeah.
yeah. So basically for me, you guys all know about my life, but I'm everything people here said minus the working out.
Yeah.
So I just don't go to the gym. But yeah, I've been a content creator for a long time. 2 YouTube channels, this podcast. I did some radio. I work as like a freelance language coordinator for one of the biggest channels in the world. I have my own business, Piroso. Shout out, go check it out, piroso.net. Multiple other things like lecturing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we have the hustlers today in KPC. So let's dive in straight away. First of all, I want to talk about the side gig economy. In Korean, we all express it as 엔잡러. 엔잡러 is like, it's like you have N amount of jobs, right? Occupations.
I feel like that's such a Korean thing because Koreans are so into math. And
Yes.
so using that N
And
to like as the
that's
integer variable, right?
Yeah. So the essential question is, why do you think one job isn't enough?
I do think that it's obviously the money. Someone who works for the company, the salary sometimes doesn't, get enough
Right.
to live my life in a certain level. So
Yeah.
I think that's very much of the start. But then also at the same time, with this globalizations, we have so many options to explore through the online. So I think it really gets me more curious about like what else in this world. And I do want to do this and I do want to do that. And that's how I think I got learn the free diving as well. So I think because what we see as in so many options in this world also get us interested in many things, and it sometimes become another job.
Right. So basically, it's money, but also you see so much potential in yourself. So you want to do
Yeah.
this and that and that. And I think among us, you're the only one that's doing corporate right now, too.
Oh yeah.
How do you juggle a 9 to 5 and like other side gigs? And
The company that I work for right now, it became so much easier because it's a Korean company, but we do work very globally.
Okay.
Then before this job, I used to work for like a huge big size company in Korea, which we call like 대기업
Oh,
for
right.
like 5 years. Then that was very, very, very hard.
can
for
you
me
drop
to-
which company it is?
The biggest tower
Yeah.
in Jamshil?
Yeah.
company.
Yes,
Yeah, the L
yes.
company.
Hey, okay.
L company is very much known for a very conservative company
Yeah.
as well.
I
conservative
see.
culture. It is all about report. And I remember I was just doing a 96 version of presentation just to report to my boss.
96 versions?
Versions of the same presentation to talk about one
So,
business.
so they
that
made
we
you
wanna launch.
redo it 95 times.
Exactly.
Oh my
No,
God.
Wow.
no CEO in the world needs 96 versions.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
personal opinion.
Yeah. So I think depending on what kind of job you get, even if it's like a 9 to 6 job, you have so much more freedom to do other things for yourself.
Right, right. Wow, that is impressive. That is great. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, thanks to COVID, the work from home system really gives me some freedom to measure my life, like life balance, I guess. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, I think during the COVID era, a lot of people started doing like online businesses or content creation, definitely.
Yeah.
Gina,
Yeah.
like, what's your story about becoming like an entrepreneur and doing all of these multiple things?
Okay, I started my career as a fashion blogger actually. I moved to YouTube platform, but then my mom, my parents, you know, Korean parents, they were like, you have to go to the office and you have to go to like Samsung and then you have to work there, you know?
Same.
So
Yeah.
I got a job from a Hong Kong fashion company and I worked there for 1 year. I didn't want to work there. I just became a full-time YouTuber. Our income is very unstable.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I needed money. So I applied for a job. I worked there for like 1.5 years, but then the money wasn't enough again.
Right, right.
Again. Okay, so I decided to do my business.
Uh-huh. Do you think the Korean standard of having enough money is different?
It's also like a trend, honestly. When I see all my friends, like Korean friends, they somehow have another job. Like, I mean, they have main job and they have another job. When they're not doing something else, then everybody is asking like, oh, you don't have another job. Oh, you're not doing like Never Smart Store or you're not doing Never Blog.
Right.
Yeah, those things, or content creation, making short form videos for your Instagram. What are you doing? Something like that. So we're always asking like, oh, you're not doing those things.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
it's not that, it's either like investing in something or
Oh,
like,
right.
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
I totally understand. Because
Yeah.
I think it's these days it's all about making yourself more interesting. So I think if you are just going for a one company, I become such a boring person in that sense. So I think we want to do something else so that we also look quite interesting, which is very much of aligning with also Korean culture to show off and everything. So I think that's also another reason. Yeah.
But I think when I look at the data, American young people were given a survey of what are your top values. Their responses came down, health was 1st, relationships, and then it was finance. And then when they did the same survey to Koreans,
Oh.
it was
Money, money,
Money,
you already know
money,
what it is,
money.
right? It was money first, and it was health and relationships were last, right? So I find it really interesting that when you look at the US, it's definitely still a hustler economy, right? That's what the US is known for. That's
Yeah.
why it became the land of promise, historically speaking,
Right.
was because everybody had this idea of you just need to go to America and then you can build a business and you can have that financial freedom.
Right.
But I think the difference is that while there are hustlers, for example, like New York City is like the hub of that, right? I feel like Korea is, or Seoul specifically, is even more intense because I think you have such a smaller version of that. I feel like it's denser. It's like a pressure cooker, right?
Yeah.
You take all the diversity and the culture and the different values that exist in New York, but in Korea, it's completely homogenous. And I think when you combine that with this people that's constantly being bounced around between superpowers, Japanese occupation, even through the Korean War, and then you look at how did we rebuild from that, the miracle of the
Right.
Han River, right? In 50 years, I think basically Korean people kind of just internalized that and was like, okay, if we want to have some kind of value and be treated with dignity,
Yeah.
then we have to hustle so that we can appear like we are worth something and we
Right.
are valuable to the world.
Right, right. That's very true because like a lot of people undermine this as the word of like Western validation or something like that. But I want to see it in a historic lens, like what Daniel said. We were such like a war-torn country, poverty and all that. But then people were like, you know, we need to export our miners to like Germany. We need to like make wigs, like ship making semiconductors, Samsung. All if you look into our history, we have like at this point like hustlers DNA almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
That's
like,
true.
you know, we gotta like excel more than other people because like our country went zero and like we're trying to like recover and like get to like a successful country. So definitely makes sense. Thanks for bringing up that historic aspect.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of the viewers would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think this keyword was thrown around a lot. Financially retired early, right? So they want to just like crank in all the money they can get during their 30s and then like retire when they're like 40 or something, travel around the world. That's actually my dream too. But like
Everyone's dream.
yeah. And
It's a nice dream.
you think this mindset is prevalent around like Korean people? Like they want to
definitely. Nowadays, you know what is trending? That's 월천 벌기.
월천?
Yeah,
What?
월천 벌기. Like on threads, if you see all the posts on the threads, then people there telling us about the 월천 벌기. 월천 is like making $7,000 a month
Let's
or
just say
something.
10K per month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like making that amount of money, and I was like, okay, so everybody is making that.
After tax, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
because
if
that
you guys-
matters.
This is so Korean.
Yeah. Corporate worker.
Because like whenever we talk about salaries and how much you earn, people are like, "Is that after tax or like before?" Like 세전세우. Like this is so Korean. So
Exactly.
in theory, what you're saying is like, in order to be like 10K per month to claim that, you'd be like, I have to earn 14K per month, like
Yeah.
after tax. Oh, okay. And I was thinking those people were toxic, but I'm just kidding. You mentioned Threads. I was on
Yeah.
that platform like for 2 days. I couldn't stand it. It was like everybody's like, oh, I earn like EDOL like word ton
Right?
per month. Like I'm like, where are these people coming from? Is this real? I can't even believe it because like if you look at the statistics, our demographic, word ton is like 1% or 3%.
Yeah, you're a
right?
top 1%.
Top 1%.
I can't imagine that's real. I do feel like when I look at the threads, a lot of it is they're just trying to get the most controversial, they want reactions to the content so that it's going to get more shares and
Yeah.
people are going to comment on it. But I feel like you're constantly taught to measure your worth through some kind of external validation or standard, right? You play status games from such a young age in Korea, and then I feel like you get into the university, you graduate, and then you start working, and it's like, so what's the next score?
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
like naturally it ends up just becoming like, oh, money is a way to sort of measure almost like a score that you got. And I think people feel this need to pursue that score, not necessarily because like in Serena's case, when she talked about, why you hustle the way you do, what I loved hearing was for you were saying part of it is the money, but the other part of it is you were basically saying, I'm curious and I want to grow and fulfill the potential that I have as a person. Whereas I feel like when Jina talks about her friends, it sounds a lot of like, oh, someone else is doing that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't do that, then maybe they're going to think I'm less of a person or something
Yeah.
like that.
I don't see it. Korean people actually want a freedom. Because freedom is more about like I want to do whatever I want and I really want to feel free to do whatever I want, and then the money can be the source of it, right?
Yeah.
But then I honestly think that what people say as, oh, I want the freedom of like financial status, I do think that they want to win the competition. Because that's what I have been also feeling like since very young.
Yeah.
And, since you're speaking of that, I remember still now that when I was in high school, we do always have this like 모의고사.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like a mock test for the ultimate goal, which is SAT.
Mm.
And I grew up in the suburb, not in Seoul. So I was going for the SAT. That was only goal for me to go to the better university.
Yeah.
And then every 모의고사, I was shivering every time when I see what's my
Results.
level.
I can
like
relate.
A grade.
Yeah.
And actually, like it really got me pressured and it really stressed me out. And then back then, when I was in high school, I always had this super severe allergy, and I had all the symptoms from my body telling me like, don't get stressed.
Yeah.
Don't get stressed. So I think ever since I was young, the numbering, measuring competition was in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, what I can get from this story though is like Serena was a good student. Like she was good with her grades because like people like me, I'm hopeless. Like, my math scores are down there, so I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was more afraid of like telling my mom about it than to myself, because at that point I don't even know what I want.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I'm studying this. I'm just doing it
Right.
because my mom is telling me to do.
We always have milestones or achievement points or labels. It's like Sky Universities in Seoul, Samsung, 대기업, Hyundai, LG, doctor, lawyer. And even after that, getting into an apartment like Remy and One Bailey, Pampojai, all those
Right.
like, we know all these names, apartment names, Hamnam-do here, all these kind of things. Everyone's just like doing a rat race to get that grand prize that's like set by society, and there's like a specific name for that. I'm like, okay, I'm born here, so like what am I gonna do? I'm gonna adapt here. So it's like a survival mode game, so might as well be the winner of it. So I'm like hustling, hustling, hustling. In hindsight, that was all like kind of empty, and nothing really mattered that much. So right now I'm just like, I need money for my happiness. My ultimate goal for being a FIRE, financially freedom, is like in a scenario when I'm old, maybe my mom's like sick or I'm sick, like medical bills are crazy, right? So I want to be able to afford that without even thinking. Like that's my goal of like being happy and financially free in the future, giving my kids like a good education, nobody's starving, like warm house. So yeah.
Competition itself is a very healthy thing, because I think because we have this hustle culture, competition culture, that's why Korea could grow up so fast within like a 50 years. I know that Korea is the only country that grew up like significantly within the shortest amount of time.
Crazy.
And I really respect for that as a Korean. But then I do think that people tend to see competition towards other people. Competition should be in yourself. You have to compete your past version of yourself.
100%.
Facts.
Versus current version of yourself. But then once you start comparing with other people, which have a totally different personality, totally different background, totally different education, then I think it's a wrong measurement.
I just want to ask you guys, since you have a lot of friends around you doing these hustles as well, what's like one of the craziest side hustles you've seen? Like some of my friends, they have like 9 to 5 jobs, and they're very stable jobs, but some of them just do delivery on their free time because they want like, oh, it's just extra money. I just want to exercise with my bike. And they have like a very positive mindset, but I can't fathom like, how do you do that,
That reminds me, I do have one friend, and I actually met her live streaming because she's also a TikTok live streamer. And she is also known for being a big influencer on Instagram. I think she has like over 1 million followers and stuff. But I thought this was her like full-time thing. And I won't say her name because I don't want to out her, but then I ended up getting dinner with her, and then she was coming from work. She was like, oh, I came from work. I was like, oh, you mean like you had like a collab for like a brand thing? She's like, no, like my day job. I was like, what's your day job? And she was like, I work at a bank.
Whoa.
I was like, what? And I was like, I had no idea, because when I look at your life on TikTok and Instagram, your whole life just looks like you're traveling and you're doing stuff to meet with your viewers and you're getting brand endorsements, and you're working at a bank. So I asked her, I was like, what is this for? And she was like, oh, like it's stable income. But I was asking her, I was like, but you stream for like 4 hours a day. When do you sleep? And she was like, oh, I get like 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night.
Dang.
And then it's a woman.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a she. So I was like, this is crazy. I think for me, what I realized was my personality, I don't really work well when I have that stability. I need the risk to really motivate myself to do more, because I was working in Daechi as an English teacher, and I was working 4 days a week. And each day I was working probably like 6 to 7 hours. So I feel like if it was a Korean person in my shoes, they would have hustled the shit out of their schedule. They would have turned the rest of that time into like Naver Smart Store and like, doing delivery to the whole works. But for me, I was like 4 days a week, like I'm going to chill with the rest of my time. And at the time I was dating someone who was working at Samsung. She was working 5 days a week, and she was working average 10 to 12 hours a day.
Whoa.
She was working in the finance department of like the semiconductors. She's not there anymore, so I can say this now. But I remember like she would go to the bathroom and be like calling me crying, because she was like, I'm so stressed. Like the day is so long. It wasn't supposed to be this long, but my manager won't let me go home and like all this kind of stuff.
I feel her.
So I was telling her, I was like, oh my God, like you got to get out of there. And then I remember we had a conversation about like how much we're making. And I asked her, so like, you must get paid a lot since you work at Samsung. And she told me her monthly paycheck. And I was like, baby, I get paid more than you. And she was like, what? I was like, I work 4 days a week. I work 6 to 7 hours a day, and I get paid more than you. And I think for her, that was like her hyunta moment where she was like, I'm not doing this anymore. She ended up quitting. But for me, after I quit that like safe job, I was like, oh, like, I don't know where my paycheck is going to come from. I don't know how I'm going to make rent. So at that point, I was just like the hustler in me came out of like, I'm willing to do anything and everything because I'm committing to finding my own path, whatever that is. So I didn't actually have to end up doing it, thank God, but I did have a contingency plan. My plan was, I was like, all right, worst comes to worst, I'm gonna strip.
Strip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm in pretty good shape. Like I think
Okay.
people would pay to see this, you know. So I was like, worst case scenario, if I need money, like I mean, stripping's pretty decent. Like I'm sure I could, you know. So I was like, honestly, mentally ready to be like, I might have to just do like OnlyFans if you know worst comes.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, it did not come to that. My TikTok streaming went okay.
And
so
hopefully,
hopefully, fingers
yeah.
crossed, it stays that way. Yeah.
I mean, Korea has like a lot of hoppas, if you know that. Yeah, one of the weirdest things, just to add, weirdest gigs, side gigs I've seen, quite impressive actually, is like my friend mentioning Samsung. He goes to Samsung Electronics as well too. It's one of the most like highest salaries out there. So I thought he'd be like very stable and like just, you know, secure with his job. But then in his free time, every time he researches and studies about property, real estate, and all that. He watches tons of YouTube videos during the weekend. He just goes to all these regions, go to these auctions, and then on top of that, he's like, I'm preparing for a nursing license. And I was like, what? Like where is this going? And then he's like, my wife is a nurse. But then she said in the future, it's going to be like the demographics going to be very silver, you know, a lot of like old people.
That's
so
right.
the industry is going to be towards like taking care of like elderly people. So he's like, when I'm retired, I don't have any kind of profession. So might as well get a nursing license and then make like a facility for elderly people and take care. I was like, dude, you're going to Samsung, you're buying property and you're preparing for a nursing license?
but you know what? I think that the hustle becomes so much more often when you get married.
Oh,
in
does it?
Korea.
Really?
If you get married and especially you have a kid,
That's right.
you really need the extra money of it. And then I see so many, you know, married couple try to figure it out what else we can do.
Yeah.
And then usually they go for the real estate.
Real estate.
But I've seen one of my friends who is a nurse. She got married and then she had a child and then they were looking for some opportunity to make more money. And then what they did is they learned baking.
Baking? Okay.
They learned baking and then they saw how much it cost to make a cake and how much they can sell it. So they see the profit out of it and then they start baking just bunch of strawberry cakes.
Wow.
And then they just start building the Instagram account and they took like the Instagram marketing classes or something, start posting things and it became so huge that
Wow.
her husband quit her job and then do that baking only. And now they're opening like a mango cake.
Wow.
So I think that also gives so many people motivation to add on top of what they do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think I want to circle back to, because this point you just said, Serena, it reminds me of what you said earlier, which is Korean people don't want financial freedom because freedom means you actually get to spend your time doing whatever it is you want to do that's not necessarily monetized.
Yeah.
But I feel like Korean people have this mentality that I always need more. I have to have more. And I think that the irony of the mentality of I have to have more is that means you'll never have enough.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I remember reading a book on, you know, money management, wealth management, investing from an American author. The author's name is Morgan Housel. He basically said that and his name is Hustle, right? It's not spelled like hustle though. But he was saying that he had this friend who was an author who was a millionaire. And the author was talking about one of his other friends who's a multimillionaire. And what the author said was, yeah, he's got more money than me, but I have something that he'll never have. And he was like, what is that? He was like, I have enough. He'll never have enough.
Oh.
You know? And I think that's like what's missing in when I feel like I talk to my Korean friends who are in this hustle culture is I feel like people who were born with a strong sense of internal worth and validation, they do know how to monetize, they do know how to hustle, but the goal is they know what they're chasing after. They know when I have that financial independence, what am I going to spend my time doing?
Right.
And it's usually like, I want to spend time with my relationships. I want to invest in the next generation. I want to teach. I want to do baking because it's fun, not because it's monetizable. And I feel like in Korean culture, the order is flipped. It's not like, what do I want? It's like, what works first?
Yeah.
So you immediately go for, let's see what is, you know, commodifiable. That's what, you know, Korean culture does. But I think the tragic part of it also as a teacher looking at that is I wanted my students to be able to figure out for themselves, like, what do you enjoy doing? What's fun for you to build up that intrinsic motivation so that when you grow up and become an adult, you can continue to pursue that curiosity. Like Serena, like do the things because it's like, this is what I want to grow into. But I feel like for most people, it's like, do it because it makes money first. And then the purpose behind it, the motivation, like take care of that later. But then I think the later never comes.
And you know what? I think now that I think about it, we never learn what is freedom since we are young. I think we never learn what is freedom. And I think the only time I heard freedom is after you resigned your work and start getting the pension. Then usually people like, oh, then I did all my duty for my life, for my family, and then now I finally will get the freedom. And then I see so many people who end up, opening the chicken, fried chicken place, and then really screw it up. When the time actually came, then we don't know what to do. We know we're free, but we don't know how to be free about it.
And I feel like the kids need to have some example of that, like either from their teachers or their parents. But I remember when I first visited Korea, because I was considering moving here in 2018, and I have a little cousin. And I remember my emo was kind of telling me it's really stressful being a mom here in Korea. And she was also struggling financially. And so I asked her, like, what is so hard about it? And she was like,
the Korea you meet for the first time. The Korea you meet at last. These moments are both called biroso. At biroso, we bring the essence of Korea to your doorstep. From traditional handmade crafts and home decor, to the latest in fashion and accessories. Discover authentic Korean products crafted by local artisans and master creators. Visit biroso.net and enjoy fast global shipping, customer service, and a 10% discount on your first purchase with the code KPC. Rediscovering Korea, Biroso.
This episode is brought to you by Patreon. Join the KPC Patreon to unlock amazing perks like early access to our videos, exclusive podcasts, and monthly K-pop reaction videos, all for just a few dollars a month. Your collective support keeps the channel going, helping us produce better, more informative, and entertaining content. Test how far KPC can go by supporting us at patreon.com/KoreanPizzaclub. Thank you so much for your support and hope you enjoy the show.
I feel like I'm failing as a mom because I don't have enough money for my son. And I was like, what does not having enough money have to do with the failure? Like what is that? And she was like, Daniel, you don't understand because you're from the US, but in Korea, you're a good parent if you have lots of money for your kid. Like that's the metric.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's what they say.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, you got to send them to English kindergarten and then get them like designer clothes and all that, make them feel not left out, like get them iPhones.
Also the education, you gotta send the kids to the academy and other people, you gotta send them yuhak for English, you gotta send them language school like time to time. During the vacation, like the kids who are gone for vacation just because they're in Canada, they're in Philippines, they're in America, we see them, oh, that family is wealthy, then she's gonna be successful. He's gonna be successful. I think that's how I think people are measuring these days. And I heard one from my cousin, she has 2 daughters, and one of the daughters start going to the elementary school. And then she's picking her up for the academy and everything. So she always waits for her in front of the school. And then you see many moms are waiting for their kids. And then the kids came to home, and then she started talking about like, oh, actually one of my classmates, her mom has this car. And then they were mocking her because her mom car is not 외제차.
Yeah, it's a Korean car.
It's a Korean car.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
And
this
I
is common.
was so shocked.
Yeah, this is not exaggerated.
At least I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
We weren't like that. But then nowadays, the kids know what it is.
Right.
That's so sad because it makes it feel like as the generations progress, it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
But I just want to ask, like, in terms of like accumulating wealth and all that, there are a lot of ways, right? But I don't know if it's the same with females, but around me, around my circle, everybody invests. Everybody's either buying Tesla stocks, S&P 500, crypto, whatever.
Which is a
proper-
very sad market nowadays.
yeah.
Thank you, President Trump.
Yeah.
Like my friends nowadays, they're even into art speculation. They're going to galleries and buying like little pieces of art and saying this artist has a potential. I'm like, this is crazy. So have you seen any of this happening around you guys?
All of my friends, I feel like all the Korean friends, I think they are doing at least one investment. Like
Yeah.
they always talk about crypto and the stock. And I'm honestly doing nothing right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm
You're
the
a
only one,
unicorn.
I feel like.
Exactly.
Yeah, my boyfriend is always telling me about the stock, about
Uh-huh.
Tesla, something like that.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
like,
down
what are you
70%.
talking about? I don't know what it is, but yeah, I feel like left out because
What-
everyone is talking about it.
Wait, so why do you choose or why don't you invest right now?
Because I wanted to save enough money first, and then I wanted to invest
Invest.
my money. Yeah, so not now, not now.
Your seed money is
Yeah.
That's smart though.
Yeah, that is smart. Okay. Oh, what about you guys? Like you guys and your surroundings.
Oh, I do also invest stocks and crypto. But I think it's the crypto market is very interesting because all my friends are doing it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another thing that's amazing about Korean culture. The 입소문,
Yeah.
right? Word of
Wow.
mouth. That's
Crazy.
the best marketing ever.
The
With
reference
YouTube
matter.
as well. I bet all of you guys at least subscribe to one of those like investing YouTube channels in like 신사임당 or like
Yeah.
they have like millions of views. Everybody's watching that in their free time. It's crazy. So you invest too, right?
Yes, I also invest. Like the best time to invest was yesterday. The second best time to invest
Yeah.
is now,
Yeah.
right? I started, looking into things like ETFs, and I started trying to get into like S&P 500.
Yeah.
It's like the safe bet. For a long time, I did view investing as sort of my primary vehicle towards, getting to wealth because that was the message that was told to me again and again. But I think now I have a different perspective on it because I read this book called The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You've heard of it?
Which yours hasn't.
It's also famous in Korea as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you read it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's a great book. But he basically says like the best investment that you can make is investing in yourself, right? Invest in your own skills and invest in your own ability to provide services to people and then make a business out of it.
Yeah.
And that will be the primary wealth driver. And once you make enough capital through that, then investing in the stock market makes sense because the 8% return on something will mean something, right? He was like, 8% return on $1,000 is $80.
Yeah.
But if that $1,000 is now $1 million, then that's way more passive income.
The fact that everybody here except Jina, like, and she is aiming for investing as well,
Right.
is into crypto or either stocks. Like when I talk to my like international friends, that's not the case. A lot of people just don't care about investing. When I do my live streams, everybody's like, there he goes again talking about crypto. So that's the response. But like finally I have like, comrades here that can back me up. So I feel really good. But like I think there's like a comparison between generations. In my parents' era, I've heard from them like, oh, you need to save, and the bank. But then suddenly it just flipped and everybody around me is like, saving is losing. You're
Right.
not beating
Yeah.
inflation. You need to invest somewhere. So I don't know when it happened, but it just happened in society in Korea right now. Everybody's just like, into that mentality. So that's why
Right.
everybody's just investing.
I do feel like though that's still a testament to sort of our, grandparents' generation and the generation that basically built Korea up from the ruins of the war it was that mentality of don't starve, right?
Yeah.
Like no matter what, don't starve. So hustle, save. And at that point, I think all they could do was save because they didn't have access. They didn't have the infrastructure to get into something like the stock market. But I think the fact that we're now in a generation where it's kind of common sense
Yeah.
to invest, that says something about the fact that like Korea has created a stability in its infrastructure enough to the point where young people could just download an app and be like, yeah, like I can get right into this. Whereas, there's still a lot of countries that never got past the developing era.
Yeah.
And like they can't invest because for them, it's like, how do I invest? I need to have the infrastructure. I need to
Yeah,
have
exactly.
internet access or something.
Back in our parents' generation, we didn't have a lot of source like about investing or anything
Right.
like that. And then I think we like a lot of people just relied on the government, like the kumni and pension and everything.
Yeah.
So it was a fact that if you save up your money well for like over years, you could buy a house.
Right.
It was the fact.
Mm.
But now I think
Oh no.
a lot of people see more values in other, business and
Yeah.
or other countries, and the interest fee in general is very
Right.
low.
Yeah.
So even if we just save our money into the bank, we cannot.
Korean people are known to invest in a lot of highly speculative assets. I saw a recent report on the news saying it was from an American hedge fund and said like Korean investors are changing the landscape of investing in US stocks and they're so aggressive in their investing. They're like, we're the only nation that invests in like this particular stock called Tesla 3X. It's just representing our like get rich quick, we need to succeed, we need to accumulate wealth and all that. It's just getting overboard, I feel like nowadays. Yeah.
I do feel like that anywhere you go in the world, you're gonna find hustlers.
Yeah.
You're gonna find a group of young people that are willing to make highly speculative investments for the chance of getting rich very quickly. But I think Korea just takes that and then they like 10x it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we'll take what you did, but we'll do it twice as
Exactly.
fast, and
Yeah.
we're gonna invest like 5 times more.
True.
Because I mean, again, if you think about it, that's the mentality that got us up from poverty to
Exactly.
I think now we're like the 12th richest economy in the world.
Yeah.
So that's an incredible accomplishment. But again, I feel like nothing's free, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything that we're doing, it comes at a cost to
Yeah.
like you were saying, like you're feeling burnt out and
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, so a lot of people view Korea as Squid Game. They're like everyone's just burning their asses, like risking everything to get like that.
Right.
Like it doesn't matter if I die or whatever. So it's just crazy. Like we've talked about money a lot now, but then there are other type of hustles like body, fitness, and all that. Oh, why are you making that face? So I mean, I think the epitome of the hustle culture in Korea was the body profile phenomenon for a while. It's kind of died down nowadays, what I observed, but like it was very, very prevalent. What do you think? Why do you think people were so into that?
When I see my friends, they are posting those body profile image on their Instagram all the time. So whenever I see that, I was like, okay, maybe I have to take one too because my friends are taking that.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that. And I feel like I'm the only one who's not taking that
Me
body
too.
profile.
Yeah. Why do you
thingy.
think your friends are all like doing body profiles and stuff?
Because they said they want to capture that moment. Their body looks like the perfect, that moment. And then they want to share that with everybody. But the thing is that they are photoshopping a lot.
A lot.
A lot. Yeah, I heard that the exercise and eating a little, that is just
That
a little
is
amount.
really important
But
point.
the photoshopping is like almost like everything of that.
So why do you think they go to the extent of photoshopping a lot and posting it on social media
Just to show everybody else. I don't know.
Yeah.
to get validation or
But I honestly think that it's related to the confidence and the self-esteem. Because very like we are repeating, like coming back to this, topic a lot. But then I think we tend to don't see ourselves, right? Our individual. We don't compete with myself. We don't see what I'm doing. We don't see what I want to do it. We don't see what I'm good at it, right? It's always like, following the rule of the society, following the answer that is already there. So when I saw that trend, I honestly thought that it's a very positive sign because somewhat, at least people are trying to gain their low self-esteem to be more confident. Because I see a lot of people start doing that challenges and then become very like sharp
yeah.
with their body, and then they somewhat go to that journey too. They become a personal trainer because of all the knowledges and things that they gained, which make them feel so confident about themselves. And I see that that's sort of the way for Korean people to be more confident and that this is who I am and I love myself. And that I thought that it was kind of like expressions. But obviously we care about the appearances, we care about how it looks. So I think that's kind of combination of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's such an interesting point that you brought up because I feel like for the majority of Koreans, at least this is just my opinion, I think the starting point is they see someone else doing it and they're like, oh wow, like I also want to look that beautiful.
And post on Instagram.
And post on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of us who work out, I think what ends up happening is your motivation changes because you start to gain confidence in your body not just in terms of how you look, but you feel better, right?
Yeah.
When you work out, you just feel your mind is sharper, endorphins are rushing through your body. And then even if you don't necessarily change the way you look, you just feel more confident because you're like, I did something hard today. I picked up something heavy. And I think it kind of gives you this like idea of like, oh, like my body is something I need to care for.
Yeah.
And if I do it well, then it gives me a certain return that kind of opens people's eyes to be like, there's so much more to this idea of loving myself than, you know, trying to compete with other people. Like if I develop my body, then maybe I can develop myself in this hobby. Maybe I can
Yeah.
also learn how to sing. Maybe I can also learn how to free dive. Maybe I can also learn a new skill like sales or something, right? So I think that even if the motivation isn't perfect, it can change through the journey, right? And I feel like that's kind of where the
Right.
hope for me is.
Yeah.
But you're right though about like the photoshopping though, because I've done a couple of body profiles, but I specifically told the camera person, I was like clean up my skin, please,
Yeah.
because I don't want to have like messed up skin on the thing. But I was like, for my body, I don't want you to change anything.
Okay.
Because I was like, my 자부심 is the fact that I built this body doing only 홈트, like 맨몸 운동.
Yeah.
And so I want that to speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the difference between like the body profile versus other countries is like, for example, growing up in the US, body profile is not a thing.
Yeah.
I still don't really think it's
People
a thing.
think it's cringe, actually.
Yeah, because the idea is like, go to the beach. Like, go to the beach or go to the a lake in the middle of the forest and take a picture. And it's kind of like the point isn't like, wow, like look at how muscular I am. The point is like, oh, he's swimming at a lake with his friends, but he also happens to be really good shape.
Yeah.
But I think in Korea, even when you go to like water parks, no one's wearing swimsuit. They're wearing
Rash
like rash guards.
That's right.
So I feel like it's almost their only opportunity
Yeah.
to be like body positivity and
Yeah.
show like I can show skin.
Right, right.
The only thing is they all wear Calvin Kleins.
What? Oh, the
or
yeah.
Versace.
Yeah.
Versace underwear or
The
Calvin
form
Klein.
of the body profile is very much set.
Yeah, there are
There's
those
like a
ones
format of it.
with like the firefighters and the police officers,
Yeah.
the tennis outfits and all that.
Yeah, it's like borderline cosplay almost.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's very interesting. But a lot of my foreigner friends, after they observe a lot of Korean people lifestyles, they think we're superhumans. Like we go to the gym, we do side hustles, we have a 9 to 5, we're doing like social media, we're only eating salad, chicken breast every day. Like how the fuck are you living? Like aren't you depressed and all that? So and this is all normalized here, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, so do you think the Korean society has this kind of pressure?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, if you think about the job application process in Korea, what other country requires you to send a profile picture of yourself with the resume? That's unheard of. If you were a company in the US and you told your applicants you need to send us a picture of yourself for a job that has nothing to do with your looks, you could get in big trouble for that. You could be like, hey, this is profiling, this is discrimination. Like, what do you need a picture of me for? But in Korea, the fact that like this is just a given, it's just accepted. And I think it also goes back into tying this idea with Korea turns things that were previously just values into commodities. Because again, I feel like in the US, if someone's beautiful, it's like cool. Like he's really handsome, she's really beautiful, but like I'm not that. Like I'm not gonna be that model. I'm not gonna be Serena. I'm not gonna be that tall and like I'm not gonna be a runway model. Like I'm just gonna be me. But that's okay because I'll leave my mark in another way.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in Korean culture, definitely you have this aspect of like you have to have the brains of like Steve Jobs, and you also have to look like Serena. You also have to be that tall, and you have to like. And good news, we have plastic surgery, so you actually can look like that,
Yeah.
right? Whereas in other countries, it's not thought of that way. It's like if you don't look that way, you don't look that way.
Right.
But in Korea, it's like look that way.
Yeah.
Like find a way to be that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with him. And I think because of the media, we got influenced a lot from the media. And then we always think that, oh, K-pop stars, they're so pretty and they're so thin, very slim. So maybe we have to look like them too. But we're just like normal people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But people expect us to look like kind of good. Then that's the ability,
Yeah.
That's your ability, one of the.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that there's nothing wrong with it because if we compare with like other country like America, like especially Western country where there are a lot of races, then it's okay because I can never be that person with any kind of surgery that I go through, but right? But then in Korea, we're just a one race.
Mm-hmm.
We all look the same. We have the same color of the hair, same color of the eyes. So I feel like there is a hope that we can get to a certain point if we are on a diet, if we like, take any surgeries, and if we, like do the perms or do things like that. So I think there is kind of like the answer, which a lot of celebrities like gives to us. So that's why I think that's a little stronger in this country. And I think it's very obvious
Yeah.
if we see that,
Right.
If I can make one more point about this, though, what I do think is interesting, though, is for me, moving to Korea, being confronted with this, as you mentioned, like there's an objective answer, there's a beauty standard.
Yep.
It actually helped me to be more honest about the fact that I want to be beautiful too. It helped me to be honest about the fact that, like, okay, let's be real. Why is it that on Netflix, all the Korean dramas and dating shows are hitting the #1 viewed shows in all these different countries around the world? It's because I think deep down, there's something biological in the fact that there is sort of a beauty standard.
Yeah.
And I think previously people didn't want to admit it because it makes you look superficial.
Yeah.
But then I think because Korea is so openly like, no, like this exists and we affirm it, I think that everyone's like, well, I mean, they are kind of beautiful. They do look really good. And I think that it's, for better or worse, as much as Korea has been being influenced by other countries, I think Korea is also starting to influence other countries too, in the sense
Yeah,
that like
a lot.
now people want to, like, for example, K-beauty's it's leading a $500 billion global industry. It's because they want to have the Korean glass skin. They want to, wow, like they look so young, even though she's like 60 and she looks like she's 30, right? Like I think that there's definitely that aspect. And I think it's, again, a blend of understanding like there is a biological impulse in all of us to have a certain objective standard.
Yeah. So we all have a consensus that Korean people strive for success. They want to be successful. Do you think physical appearance connects to success as well?
For example, when I gain weight, then people always openly, Koreans, they ask like, oh, you gained weight.
Yeah.
Or my mom is always telling me like, oh, you look like a pig. You have to lose your weight.
That's wow.
Yeah, I know.
I will
So-
never get used to that part of Korean culture.
Yeah, I feel like almost everyone around me, they're hitting the gym every day and they're kind of like workout every day. And I feel like that is kind of connected to our ability to self-care. Oh, you're not hitting the gym, then you're lazy. Oh, you're not really taking care of yourself. Also, you're lazy, so you don't want to succeed in your life. Something like that. Yeah, so I feel like exercise, like workout, that is also related to your hustle.
I know a lot of friends that go to companies as well too. And they specifically go to the gym because they go to like other meetings and stuff. When they present themselves, they want to be like looking good in like suits and all that. And they say that it does have an effect on how the opposite side like reacts to them, and they think psychologically it gives more credibility to the person, and it closes the deal in a higher chance. So they have those logics. And also a lot of my other friends say like dating is really harsh nowadays. In order to impress, get like a better looking girlfriend or boyfriend, they're like, I need to take care of myself. Thing is, like, as a guy, like that doesn't work out that much. Every Korean woman's ideal type nowadays, the polite version of it is like 자기 관리 잘하는 사람.
Yeah.
And that means like shredded, nice looking, like good body and like good skin and all that in a polite form. And so like whenever I hear that, I just like 자기 관리 잘하는 사람.
Yeah.
It stresses me out because like, okay, I need to go to the gym.
Well,
So
I mean, I'm not to throw any shade, David, but
Yeah.
like you did mention that you feel like you're a hustler in all of these different
Yeah,
ways,
yeah, yeah.
and you do kind of feel the pressure to also hit that success because of the optics. But then the one thing that you're not doing is working out. I'm curious why that's not.
I mean, I did work out for a bit, but then I think I put my priorities on getting wealthier, more established in the business scene.
But then the question is, then because that is becoming your priority, then at some point, there is a chance that you can lose your health. That's
That's
what
true.
a lot of, Korean people also struggle too. And then I think that's why the priority kind of shifted these days, because now they realize, oh, I just leave to work.
Yeah.
It's all about work. And then if I die tomorrow, and what am I gonna, am I gonna regret or not, right? So
That's me now.
we are gonna persuade you
Yeah.
today to start working out.
Yeah. That is definitely me right now, and I do know the importance of staying healthy and working out and all that.
When you work out, the general idea is your body's going to take whatever shape that's naturally yours, right? But I think that one thing I do know that is that in Korea, when, women in particular, when they work out, your body will start to naturally build muscle in certain places, and you're going to start to naturally lose fat in certain places that's outside of your control. But then what women sometimes do is they freak out because they're like, wait a second, like I'm losing my boobs, or like I'm losing my hips. And then so what they'll go is they'll get filler, they'll get those hips that like replace that with the plastic surgeon or like with the breasts. And so, one thing you'll see in every single gym you go to is you have the male trainers and the female trainers posters, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a body profile of them when they were like sub 9% body fat. Like the men are shredded, women are shredded, and they're super toned everywhere. And all of a sudden they have like these very large breasts that are kind of
Large breasts.
It doesn't
That was
match
very
the,
nice to
Big
say.
boobs.
yeah, it
Big
doesn't
boobs.
match they got them titties, and it doesn't match the rest of the aesthetic, and you're like, yeah, that can't be real, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have enough body fat to have that, but it's like they're artificially creating that.
Yeah.
So I feel like even with the health driving behind it, when you look at sort of like the ultimate models, like even in Physical 100, these women
Yeah.
who are bodybuilders, they come out and they all have plastic boobs because it's like working out is not enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of Physical 100, we have so many content like Singles Inferno and all these dating shows and all these K-pop shows with so perfect looking people. It's kind of ironic because I'm eating like pork belly and like greasy food watching Singles Inferno and like, oh shit, I want to look like that.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
Yeah, but speaking of, as a K content hub, we have so much content that portray perfect beings like in societal terms. And one thing I want to add in, like recently I watched a movie called Substance. Everybody should watch that if you want to.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like body appearance, comparing yourself, mental health and all that, like please do watch it. It sends a very, very strong message. But anyways, what do you think the future of hustle culture is in Korea? Do you think it's going to get better or more intense, or Gina?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so tired.
You're burnt out.
Yeah,
me
after talking
too.
about all this issue.
Poor Gina.
Yeah, I mean,
The quarter of my, I can see your energy like dwindling as the conversation went on.
I was going through like burnout a lot. I have some mental issues as well. So I feel like this society is too much. It's too much competition.
So it should definitely like tone down a bit from this.
Yeah, I hope so.
You hope so?
Yeah, I hope so.
You think it's possible?
No.
No, that's a very candid
But
answer.
yeah, I just hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also think that like hustling will continue. Recently, like I really like the Beyonce's new song, Diva is the New Hustler. And I think the hustle is all about not what you do, but how you do it. If you enjoy the hustle, then it becomes your hobby, and then you really get to have an end job with happiness. But then if you're doing it just for the superficial purposes, oh, I want to have this car,
Yeah.
and I want to have this house, and I want to buy the Chanel bag. If that's the target, it might get a little frustrated. But now I see like a younger generations, they really don't care about like getting a stable job. The mindset is a lot more free than what I used to be. So I think if they combine with this hustling with multiple different jobs, and I do see the potential of them enjoying the jobs together as well. But then I just hope that people don't see the hustles or side jobs as if it's like I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be my hope. Yeah.
Something I've learned is it's important not to lose vision of the world that you want to create, but you always have to start with the way that the world is now. You have to accept reality as it is. So I think for me, I believe that Korean culture can change, but I think the only way that it will change is we have to hustle to get to the point where we have enough power and influence to make a difference. Because I think that, again, the lesson that I learned from Korean history is that people with power control the fates of those who don't have it. So if we are the ones who control the power, then we can do something different for the next generation. And I think, I stopped teaching because I soon realized that as long as I stay in the education industry, I will not be able to maximize myself and be the best version of me because I had co-teachers that were so much better than me. Their passion for the kids, the passion for the craft, but it made me hopeful because the lessons that they were teaching the kids, and these are kids of like lawyers, doctors, politicians, celebrities in Korea. These are like the elite, and they're gonna one day grow up to become adults. And what I realized is if they can hold on to these little seeds that we planted into them, then maybe there's a chance. They became one of my motivating factors because what I thought was, I want to make sure that I can build a business in the future so that when these kids grow up and they start working and they start looking for a job, I can reach out to them and be like, hey, I want you to work for me. And you can experience what it's like to be in the culture that I've created. And I can influence you that way. And and then that way I can make a lasting difference. Is it, overly optimistic? Maybe, but I think for me, my philosophy of life is it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
okay, wow.
Quote.
It's a good quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I agree to every one of you. There's no answer for this, honestly. I do, as a realist, think there is a grim and depressing future as well. Like if you see our birth rate is declining, or the elderly population is like growing, and like, the economy and inflation is going higher and higher. So people are gonna inevitably need to hustle realistically to get more income and all that. So I think it's gonna get severe in that way. But like in terms of what Serena mentioned, like as the younger generations, like I don't know if the motive is like I'm trying to find myself. Maybe some of them are like, I just give up. I hate society. I'm just gonna do whatever I want. Either way though, the behavior is changing. They are like, I'm gonna pursue what I want. I don't care about what my parents are pushing me to do. A phenomenon that's happening is a lot of younger Koreans are moving to the countryside and they're becoming like farmers or book writers or whatever they want to do. So I do see like a balance here. On the depressing side and on the optimistic side as well. Whether it's going to be more harsh or not, I don't know. But tell us your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about Korean hustle culture? Do you think it's too much? I would love to hear how it's like in your own countries and cultures. Yeah, and your observations of the Korean society as well. Everybody, thanks for joining me today here in
Thank you for
KPC.
inviting.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having us.
yeah. If you want to check out their socials, they're all here. Check out their content and their hustles as well. We will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.